500,000 more children to get free school meals, even if their parents earn over £40,000. Okay, most of them won't have parents earning over £40,000, but nevertheless, if they're on universal credit, they can earn that much. It's a cost of £1 billion to taxpayers. Okay, it's over 3 years, but, you know, still it's money we don't have that could go on other things. I want to know what your reaction is. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. You can also get in touch with us on X at Talk TV. Calls are charged at the national rate. Text costs 1, standard network rate message. Philip, it seems very simple to me. If you have children, you should have children that you can afford to look after.
Yep.
And there would be times when people are down luck. They are between jobs. There's been a bereavement, domestic violence. A single mum is now on her own, dealing with living in a bedsit, with the kids. There are absolutely times when people are absolutely struggling, and my God, I want our welfare state to help those people. But the idea that we have all these people who are not able to afford to feed their kids. I mean, free breakfast clubs. But a load of parents can't afford to feed their kids at lunchtime. Now we're giving free breakfast clubs as well. I mean, well, let's just give them dinner as well. Let's just feed them at weekends too. Why don't we just not even bother with parents at all anymore?
Don't send them home.
Yeah, exactly.
Boarding schools
for everybody. We'll take them out of the womb. 9 months gestation, and you'll never see your parents because apparently we're all useless. Already we've got free school meals for all primary school children in London.
Yep.
Free school meals across England and Wales. I think England, Wales as well, certainly England, for all children at infant school, so 4, 5, 6 and 7-year-olds. Again, doesn't matter what, you could be a higher income taxpayer, you could be a millionaire, and your kid at state school will get free school meals at the age of, up to the age of 7. Now they want to extend it. They're saying, look, there are a lot of parents who are on very low incomes who are struggling. If you're on universal credit, not just earning an income below 7,400 a year, which is the current limit, you will be eligible to have your child on free school meals. Is that a good thing to help kids, or is it a bad thing?
Well, I agree with you. There are individuals who are in dire circumstances who deserve help from the state. But the trouble is, with the state giving it to so many, then those individuals are losing out. And why should my taxes pay for someone else's kid to get fed? And if
you chose to have kids,
and if anyone claims that free school, then they should be audited to make sure that they don't have football season tickets, they're not vapors, they're not smokers, they're not heavy drinkers, they haven't got their Sky subscriptions or other subscriptions are available, and everything else, because that's where they're spending their money on, and not on their kids.
You're saying you don't believe there are people who can't afford to feed their kids?
I believe that there are a few who are in dire circumstances.
In
they're the
temporary
ones
circumstances.
Yeah, and they're the ones who don't shout about it. But I believe the majority can feed their kids.
I've done phone-ins on this before in a previous life, and I had so many people who called up who were on benefits, disability benefits, and one was a carer, one was severely disabled, who had children, people who were on minimum wage, working every day, but on minimum wage, saying we're on the lowest possible income. We can afford to feed our kids. Yep. We don't have a problem with feeding our kids. Yep. The average school meal, it costs in the region of, it's different, inside London, outside London, what you're charged, it's £2.65 a day. That's £13.25 a week. Over the school year, 39 weeks, you're looking at £516 a year. That's a lot of money if you're on very low income. And that's what Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, says, we're going to save parents. But the point is there are many thousands of parents who could afford to pay that.
Yep.
She says she wants to help those poacher kids. It's an extra £500 in their pocket. If Bridget Phillipson, and presumably the Chancellor and the Prime Minister who've signed off this £1 billion cost over 3 years, it's not huge sums of money. We're looking at defence spending going sky high, etc. But every penny counts, and every bit, take care of the billions, and the trillions will take care of themselves. But if she genuinely thinks the issue is that these parents haven't got the money and they desperately need that extra £500 a year because they can't afford to pay those, why don't you give those parents the extra £500 a year? Why aren't you giving them the extra £13.25 a week over those weeks of the year where they're at school to pay for their child's education? Because they either think those parents would spend that money on food but don't have it, or are we saying we don't think those parents are actually feeding their kids, and they're choosing not to, as you say, because they're going to buy another packet of fags and another bottle of cider.
Yeah, and what this does by doing this means that the kids will come home from school having had breakfast, having had lunch, and then the parents won't feed them in the evening because they'll use that to buy more.
And there are parents who don't do that.
There are.
That said, I'm rather of the view that the biggest problem with poverty, children in poverty in this country, is more about children being overfed and fed the wrong food. Yeah. Plate of chips is not a healthy, balanced diet, rather than too little food.
Yeah, another deterrent, and people think I'm right of Genghis Khan on this, is that anyone who's doing that therefore needs an automatic social services referral, so that, that actually the wider circumstances of the family can be examined and make sure that the kids aren't going to harm.
And this is the thing, isn't it? Because if children are coming to school hungry, something else is going wrong at the home.
Correct.
I mean, these are the kids whose parents, they don't clean their teeth, they don't have bedtime, they don't, everyone's sitting there, playing on the internet or watching porn and on drugs all night. I mean, that's the reality, and some kids are living in those homes. Shouldn't we be getting those kids out of those homes rather than leaving them there? But don't worry, you had some roast beef at lunchtime, so everything's fine.
Yeah. And don't worry, they're going to take the two-child cap off.
Two-child benefit cap. You can still have the children and you still get child benefit. What you can't do is get extra benefits on top of that for having extra children that you've chosen not to pay for.
Well, it seems to be, if you have kids, you're going to get everything thrown at you. If you're elderly, well, maybe it's going to change next week, you get it all taken off.
Well, indeed. Let's come on to that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. Are we just being horrible, nasty, right-wing people? There are children. I know there are children whose parents don't feed them. And there will be some parents who are genuinely struggling and do not have that money through circumstances sometimes not of their own making. I get that. We need to be helping those kids. I know there are parents, there are teachers who literally have to see children who are, going into the dustbin to try and get food because they are so hungry. We need to deal with that. But I don't think the answer is handing out free school meals to hundreds of thousands of children. I think the answer is to make sure that you deal with what is going on in those homes and those families. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe you grew up on free school meals. An absolute lifesaver for you. If you're a parent who's struggling, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe your kids are at school right now. What do you think of this? Give us a call. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Winter fuel allowance. U-turn by Rachel Reeves. Well, we had U-turn by the Prime Minister at PMQs last week. Rachel Reeves in that interminable speech yesterday, these poor souls having to stand behind her. But basically said that the winter fuel payments will be, because if you're going to announce a U-turn, when are people going to get it? I mean, I was going to say winter is approaching fast. It looks like winter out my the window of the studio right now. But basically, yes, people are going to get their winter fuel payments back this winter. But it looks like it's going to go back to all 10 million, but 5 million are going to have it clawed back in terms of tax taken, and which is obvious. My parents in their early 80s don't need to have 300 quid given to them from hard-earned taxpayers' money to pay for their central heating. They're doing just fine, thank you.
Yeah, and it's the right way of doing it, and they should have done that in the first place. Is anyone that's a higher tax earner should pay tax on it, or find a way of not getting it.
Either of you are earning over 60 grand, I think then you pay tax.
So everything is electronic through the tax office, and therefore they just link the two computers together. And go, you're hard to pay tax on it, you don't get that.
Or again, I think it should be paid instead of a one-off payment. It should be paid as part of the pension. Yeah. And then it also, none of these things to be on the wit of man. A lot of the issues come down to the fact that we've got such a bad computer system in government. Well, 20 different bad computer systems in government. They don't speak to each other. They can't actually manage these things. But again, one of the reasons why this was never means tested and why child benefit wasn't means tested is actually the cost of means testing these things actually means it costs more than the extra people who get that.
And the other thing about this is, this is one of the first and it was craziest things that the government brought in whenever they took power, and now less than a year later they're having to do a U-turn on it.
It was a bizarre announcement.
But it was when they brought it in, it was essential because the economy is in such bad state. The economy is in a worse state now. So
no, I think you'll find if you check more closely, we have turned a corner. And they've dealt with that £22 billion black hole. Philip, you've got to keep up with the memos from Central Office.
Have you ever done hill walking? We've just got to the top of the hill. Oh, just over the next brow. We're at the top of the hill. Just over the next brow.
Parents, you will lie to us just over the next. I remember that. Interminable walks in the snow in the Lake District. I remember that.
It's just over the next hill. It's just round the next corner.
Don't you bring it? I'm going to have post-traumatic stress disorder this way. Let's talk about another old favourite. Another old favourite here on the show. A new announcement on cracking down on migrants. This is Labour this time. The Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is drawing up legislation to make it easier to deport overseas offenders as well as failed asylum seekers. It's a report in the Mail. They want to bring in new laws curtailing the use of the Human Rights Convention by foreign criminals in particular, to restrict the use of the right to private and family life. This is Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Now, I've been long of the view, we need to deal with this. However, lawyers are going to get round it. And even if you say you cannot deport someone, they'll find another article. But there's never been any reason why any judge should allow someone, especially a foreign criminal or someone who's got no right to be here as a failed asylum seeker, who's just an economic migrant, to stay here under Article 8. I'm going to read Article 8 to people because most people only know it's Article 8, right to respect for private and family life. Paragraph 1. Everyone has the right to respect for his private and family life, his home and his correspondence. I mean, it's not very non-binary, is it? But I mean, fair enough. And however, everyone, including all the judges at every single immigration and asylum tribunal, seems to have not read the second paragraph. Read on. Paragraph 2. There shall be no interference by a public authority with the exercise of this right, crucial word here, except such as is in accordance with the law, i.e. you have no right to be here, so sod off, and is necessary in a democratic society in the interests of national security. Yeah, you're a possible terror threat. Public safety. Yeah, you're a convicted criminal. Or the economic well-being of the country. You're a leech, we don't need you here. For the prevention of disorder or crime. Again, you're a criminal. For the protection of health or morals. Or for the protection of the rights and freedoms of others. You're right, for instance, not to have to live next door to a paedophile or a rapist who's a threat to you. This is really obvious. Article 8 does not give anyone who's committed a crime here, who's no right to be here, the right to stay here. So why have judges been allowing it all this time?
I know a lot of judges who apply it properly and throw people out. They're just not based in the UK. They're based in Germany, they're based in France, they're based in the Netherlands. They apply exactly the same law. So why do we...
And they've been doing it before this crackdown from Friedrich Merz.
Correct. Long before that. So I don't understand why our judges interpret it in a different way and why the government has to bring in new legislation to do anything else. There just needs to be, from the Justice Secretary, clear direction going out to the judges saying, apply it as it says there. Do not use that as an excuse to stop people getting out.
I think any judge...
Wind your necks in,
Any judge who is not able to read past paragraph 1 should be sacked from the bench immediately, because you're obviously an idiot. I don't care how many A-levels and first-class degrees from Oxford or Cambridge you've got. You clearly are a complete idiot, and you've got no business being a judge.
Does it give an exemption for chicken nuggets?
There is no exemption. This is weird. There is no exemption for paedophiles who will miss seeing their own children that they're only allowed to see under supervision, because what with being a convicted paedophile and all. I mean, these cases
there must be a little note somewhere. There's the small print.
Well, exactly. There's no way. I've just read that to you. There's no way. All the cases we call celebs we've had in the news in the last few months. I mean, non-stop. The Albanian nuggets, the paedophile. I mean, there was one a day for about a month. Not one of those should be allowed to stay if you read paragraph 2.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. We have activist judges leaving the ECHR, which is something Kemi Badenoch is looking at having a review of. I thought you were already doing that, love. Yeah. Get on with it, mate. You haven't got until like a month before the next general election to come up with some policy. You're going to have to do it this year. Nigel Farage is on your ankles. Yes. Get on your trail. But I just find it absolutely extraordinary that anyone thinks that we can carry on with activist judges. I'm sorry, we're going to need to have a very clear instruction to those judges. And if they continue being politically activist as they are, they've got to go, because that's not the job of a judge.
No, a judge should be completely apolitical in the same way that you shouldn't be influenced by anything. And I'm afraid it is quite clear that they are being influenced by different lobby groups.
There's other stories, of course, involving the French saying they're going to agree to intercept migrant boats for the first time. Yeah, that was a great sound. I love that. I mean, that was just, exactly. Although apparently the French unions are going, oh, no, we cannot do this because it will put us in danger.
Yeah, but how many meetings...
Sorry, I didn't smoke my gitan at the end of that.
How many meetings have the government had with the French saying, we've reset everything, we've given them more money, they're going to do this? Surely when you're having a meeting, you'll discuss intercepting the migrant boats. That would have been number. It is difficult to do, but that would have been number one.
Shoot the boats. They're dinghies. Then they'll move on to yachts. Who are we kidding? Can we also talk about fat jabs? I've been saying since word go, since word go, these fat jabs are not going to be the miracle cure everyone thinks they are. Even if you don't lose, everyone will lose weight. Not everyone will lose weight. Even if you don't lose weight, they're fantastic for every other health issue. And or barely any side effects. Well, apart from all the side effects that people say, and the fact that the moment you come off them, you're likely to put all the weight back on again. But the latest is a fat jab health warning on two fronts to women. One is that actually it looks very likely, particularly Mounjaro, which is the most common one, means that basically contraceptive pill doesn't work. So we're seeing women getting pregnant who are not planning to get pregnant, saying basically if you are on this, you should be using condoms as well. But also fears for unborn babies and indeed babies that are being breastfed. Again, I would have thought that was the statement of the bleeding obvious. I mean, you're not even supposed to take paracetamol unless absolutely necessary while you were pregnant. The idea you'd be on a weight loss jab, given that you're not supposed to take this unless it's under doctor supervision. Yep. What the hell are doctors doing giving it to women who have... You shouldn't be trying to lose weight when you're pregnant. Maybe you want to try and do that before you get pregnant, maybe, I don't know. But, I mean, genuinely outrageous that this is happening. We're going to talk to Carl Hennigan, who's Professor of Evidence-Based Medicine. We should do more of that, people, in this country. This is entirely not just predictable, but predicted, isn't it?
As soon as you put something inside your body, it is going to react with other things, and it's going to have different side effects. And if you're you're not in the standard view of things, i.e., you're pregnant, or there's something else going on with you,
they don't test these things on pregnant women.
Then it hasn't been tested against you. So there may be reactions that have not been published. But I suspect if you go through the small print on whatever instructions they give with it, that small print will turn around and say not suitable for pregnant women or something
or women
else.
trying to get pregnant.
But people don't read those.
But people, again, a lot of people getting them over the internet. And again, when we start having babies that are dying in utero or stillborn or with defects, Well, I mean, we're just going to say, I told you so, that'd be okay? It's the babies that are suffering. And doctors not sticking to this. And also, don't buy your drugs off the internet. Don't get them from the local beauty salon. Get them from a doctor, not even a pharmacist. Get them from a doctor.
Yeah, but again, that's part of the problem.
Eat less.
Yeah, again, that's part of the problem.
Throw that out there. Eat less.
You can't get to see a doctor, so that's why people are going online and doing so much more online, and it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. I feel quite angry quite a lot about a lot of stories. It's just when you wake up and you go, oh my God, the whole world is mad. It's just like, can everyone just stop doing stupid things and make it
We should have a happy day every month, and we just do happy stories.
Oh, we haven't had one of those for a while. Anyway.